Hey everybody, hope y'all are doing good today. We're going to talk about the way it used to be. I'm sure some of y'all have some of these old lakes illustrated maps, and back in the day, you didn't just turn on your Lawrence graph and bam, there was a perfect map right there of the lake and everything that was on it. The only way you were going to know anything about that lake was with one of these right here. An old topographical map. Lake maps. Right here, look at all these. These are all the lake maps of different lakes I've been on all my life and fished. And some of them are duplicates where, I had too many notes on one, so I got another one. And so back in the day, you'd take one of these, and when it came to pattern fishing or looking for specific things, you used a topo map. And it was an interesting study. For weeks and weeks prior to the tournament, you would spend just studying a map and studying the contour lines and the topo lines and everything about that lake. I would spend a month prior to a tournament or longer just studying that map. I would know how to navigate that lake by the time I got there. I would know how to run where I needed to run. I would know where timber was at. I would know where the flats are at. I would know practically everything about this lake except maybe the shoreline composition and some things like that. Even then, I'd probably already have a pretty good idea if I knew the area of the country it was in. And you could pattern fish with one of these, and you could use the lines, the topographical lines, like it's on this map. This lake's illustrated every 10 feet. There's a line. So when the lines got closer and darker together, that was like a channel swing bank right there. You can see how the main channel swings in by that point right there? So then you could identify channel swings, ledges, drop-offs, humps, points, flats, all of it, just by studying one of these. You could go all the way up in the river arms, like this would be a little flat water creek. And then you'd start fishing that lake. So you'd study this thing and you'd take the seasons of the year and dictate what the fish should be doing, and then take this and go, man, if it's in the spring, I'm gonna start looking for these major creeks and figure out what I think are spawning areas, start targeting those, or pre-spawn areas. If it was summer, I'd be thinking more out here, and you could start breaking down the lake very quickly. And like this old map of Lake of Ouachita, which, that's just one creek arm. I mean, it's a massive lake. You'd be out there with your graph or your flasher, and you'd have studied everywhere on here, and you'd have an idea what you want to start looking at. Then you'd start breaking it down. And then, once you found a few spots, let's say if that little spot right there was where you caught some, well, you just look for more, and you go, oh, there's another one right there. I'll go there. There's another one right there. I'll go there. Just by looking at a map. And then you'd keep all of these notes. Like I got lots of notes on maps, but here, this one's a good creek and shows you what areas you can fish on there. That way you don't forget it. Like here, lots of timber scattered throughout in this creek arm right here. And you'd have notes all over these things telling you about this and that and another, so that some other time when you were there, you could fall back on those. We'd spend hours looking at these things. Be sitting in a motel room, you and your buddies studying every inch of it, trying to figure it out, using this map right here. Got lots and lots of them. They got better over the years. Like here's a old Sam Rayburn. I mean, there's every lake in the country here. Kentucky Lake, Barkley Lake. And then sometimes you couldn't just buy a good map like this. You might have to go make you one. This is one I made for a long time ago, way back before you could really have any GPS or mapping, but I got on some website. Now this was back when websites were kind of creepy, and I made this map of Lake Felsenthal. But you could study on these maps and understand where water kept going. Good grief. Can you imagine trying to mess with this thing idling around or running up and down the lake? But you could follow these old channels and figure out how to get in these little backwater lakes, and super cool stuff. This map right here helped me make it to Bass Nation regional championship because I had this and I was able to find some water that I would have never been able to find without having a good topo map prior to the tournament. Now we do all that with Google Earth, it seems like, or on the graph, but this is how we had to do it. A lot of study went into this. It was wasn't easy, but it sure was fun. Even my home lake of Beaver, every time before a tournament, even though I knew, had a plan, I knew where I was going, I would sit down on this map and go from the takeoff site to where I was going to be fishing, and I would look through all that water. And I'd try to remember any places that I might have not thought about, like, ooh, I need to put that in. I don't need to forget that on my way back in. That's a place I can spend the last 10 minutes that I know is a good spot. And you get familiar with the lakes and the routes you're going to take, and you just stay really fresh. And I'd study these up until it was time to go to bed at night. Same way in a motel room until it was time to get up in the morning. So I knew exactly what I was up against the next day. I miss these old maps. Well, I don't, because I still use them all the time to get around and do whatever. Topo map. It's the way we had to do it. It was the only way. A lot of lakes didn't have them, so you'd have to create your own, figure it out, but most lakes did. Cool stuff. Any of y'all still use your maps out there today? I'll show you something kind of cool. So I was going through all these old maps getting ready to do this video, and I come across something that's pretty dang neat. And if you'll look right there, Tommy Martin. I was down at Sam Rayburn fishing the Bass Open quite a number of years ago. And I ran into old Tommy, and all I had was my lake map sitting there, and I was like, hey man, would you sign that for me? That's pretty cool right there. I forgot all about that. Tommy Martin, one of the all-time greats. He knew how to use one of these. I bet a lot of y'all did too. That's fishing right there. All the way. So, you get bored, dig your old maps out. You might remember something you forgot. I don't know that I want to look through every one of these, but I'll probably take a gander at a few just because I got them out. Catch you next time.